Well, it depends on how smart you are. If you're an idiot, you last the first year, and that's about it. I don't know if there's any other type of handler. Just kidding. No. So usually people quit after a year when they do this type of work. I've been doing this for 10 years. The thing is, I started very slow. I did not take a lot of risks when I started learning. I just handled a lot very generously. I was very timid with the alligators, watching, learning how they move, learning how they tell you where they're going to go without even noticing it. Woo! Man, that was pretty bad. Are you going to keep grunting like that all show? You're feeling the show. You're making it very entertaining. That was a good try. What happens when you're invited? If I don't want to feed a wild one, then it's going to bite somebody that didn't even deserve it. They think all people are the same. Unless you spend every day with them. If you spend every day with them, they start to remember you. And if you don't treat them right, that is not a good thing. That's why I'm very nice to these animals, because they remember who I am. And some of them will respect and appreciate your kindness, and some of them see it as weakness. Those are the ones that go into the gator wrestling pit. Humble them out for 3 months and put them back in.
Looks like they all came to see you.
That's right. I'm not special. The sound of this bucket, that brings them in.
Oh my goodness, look at I know.
Alrighty, folks, we're just about to get started with the alligator feeding show. If you are not over here, come on down and find a place to sit, please. We're about to get started. Alright, now, do you folks know what this animal is? Close. Starts with an A. Alligator, very good. Now, alligators and crocodiles are very, very different, but they look almost the same to most people. Now, when you're like me and you spend every single day around them, you can tell the difference between a crocodile or an alligator at night, like all the way over there. So you get an eye for it eventually, but for people that don't spend all their time around them, they look almost exactly the same. Now, alligators are going to be like the color of this fence pipe right here, like a dark navy blue, like silverish charcoal color. Now, a crocodile is going to be the color of sand on the beach. They're going to be very tan and gray kind of mixed in. So even their skin colors almost are the same. But the gators are darker because they hunt at night. Crocodiles mostly hunt during the day. That's why their skin is much lighter. So they have to blend into whatever environment they're trying to stalk their prey in. Now, in a second, I'm going to start throwing this food in there. Now, you notice I didn't bring more than just one bucket. The bucket's not even full. That's just because this is a snacking show. You're going to see a little chomp out of these gators. We are going to feed them for your entertainment. But all their food does not get fed every day. These animals would all get legitimately diabetes if we fed them every single day. Alligators have a very slow metabolism. So you know what? The alligators only need to eat about once a week, sometimes just once a month if they're very big. Alligators will sit still for long periods of time, so that way they won't be burning off the food they just ate, unless they have to. And that's called a survival mindset, especially when you're a cold-blooded animal. Now, we feed different things to the alligators. It's a combination of chicken, rats, and pork. Now, they need the rats because the rats have organs inside their body, and that gives nutrition to the alligator. So don't get upset when you see that I'm feeding the alligators rats during this show. Okay? Now, oh, don't leave yet. Come back. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come on. Come on. You got it. Come here. Come here. Come on. Your friend is going to rip my arm off before you get up here. Good job. So alligators are not greedy. They really sometimes they will actually walk away from a fight. They'll walk away from food if that means they don't have to argue. Because an alligator is strong, very, very strong. But they also know if they start a fight, even if they're big and powerful, they might not be the one that finishes the fight. So larger the alligator, the older they are, the more mature they are. So the only gators that really do a lot of damage to each other are the smaller ones, because their armor isn't strong enough to really protect them yet. So all these alligators are at least 25 to 30 years old, and then they could be all the way up to 80 or 100 years old. So it's like 20 to 100 years old is how old all these gators could be. There's 300 in here, and we feed them with the bulldozer every 2 weeks. Now, you know that alligators really only hunt in the water because their best sense is hearing, okay? That's why I always make sure every morning I go through with the Q-tip and I hit every single gator. Just kidding. That'd be disgusting. I don't even want to know what's in there. But anyway, so the alligators have incredible hearing, so that's why they mostly hunt what's making sound. They only need a little bit of food, so they hunt for things that are making little splashes in the water. That little tiny mouse just got all that attention from all those alligators, and these are well-fed gators. So a wild alligator will be chasing it a lot faster with a lot more oomph. Now, does anybody want one? They're very fresh. It's almost as fresh as the ones that they'll give you at McDonald's. In between the buns, you folks have eaten at McDonald's before, right? But you slap that between two buns, and that's actually pretty healthy. Let me slap this between your buns. Come here. Alligators actually don't have butt cheeks. It's kind of funny. Just the tail. Come here. Come here. Come here. Now the alligator can be gentle like that, or it can move very fast. And that's when hands get ripped off. So don't ever try to do this on your own. I am very careful in here, quote unquote, because I know what the animals are capable of. I know what's coming. But for those little kids watching the show and the young men or whatever that want to impress other people, do not go and try anything you see me do here, from handling the gators to feeding them. Everything I do here is stupid and reckless. We can all agree on that. If you feed an animal that can rip your arms off, you're probably not passing any IQ tests. Now, when alligators see a little bit of food on the floor, they'll go for it. The bigger the animal, the more they're going to think about attacking it first, because they don't want to get hurt. Alligators, even though they're very powerful, they have a great success rate more than a crocodile, because gators don't start things. They finish them. Crocodiles love to start things, and sometimes the crocodile won't be able to finish. You know what I mean? The crocodile is going to lose a fight that it starts. Okay, so the alligators survive childhood in the wild way more often. So we have only 2,500 crocodiles, and we have over 3 million gators in the state of Florida. It's the only place in the world they live together. Come here, honey. Yummy. Now, the alligators don't have a lot of skin on their face. It's like very hard bone with a little bit of skin and not very much blood. So that way, when they get bit on the skull, the gator that is biting them, the teeth are going to snap off before they get through that hard skull. So that's actually one of the ways that they'll communicate how strong they are to another alligator without having to hurt him. Now, as long as there's not a huge size difference in the gators, they won't actually be able to get through that armor that's on their skull and also across the bumps. I don't know if you see like these little ridges kind of like the top of the fence that go from their neck all the way to the tip of the tail. This is only on the top of the back of the alligator, and those are hard armor plates designed to keep the alligator protected so they can get into fights sometimes and not get really injured at all. Now, if the alligator breaks off their teeth, the tooth will grow back the next day in the same place. They do that 3,000 or more times in a lifetime. That's pretty awesome. See, for me as a human, how many sets of teeth do I have? So that's why I don't do a lot of human facts. Our pollution rate is very impressive, though. The alligators don't pollute nearly as much as people do. Come here, Mrs. Attitude. Come on. Come on up. Cutie pie. Now, alligators in the wild are the same as the ones in captivity. They just aren't getting as much food. So they're going to be out hunting a little bit more. They would attack birds that get a little close. Like the birds in here get close to the gators because they don't want to have to deal with it. Some human is going to throw food in their mouth at some point. And the alligator, honestly, doesn't get hungry more than once a month. If you folks ate a cheeseburger and didn't get hungry for 3 weeks, that's what it's like to be an alligator. So you don't have to think about them as like animals that are just killing everything that comes close to them. Now, don't get me wrong. If you were to throw yourself on that little 6-foot alligator, that animal would kill and eat you out of convenience. It's It's nothing personal. And they wouldn't be hungry for like a year. Okay? So that's kind of how it works. So don't think, oh, they only eat small animals. Well, that is true. But they have a lot of power for fighting each other and establishing dominance and impressing females. So as long as you're not messing with them, they actually really do run from people on land because your height scares them away. Now, this is the last piece of food for the show. If you folks did enjoy the presentation, you had a good time, you learned some cool things. Feel free to stop by the exit. Of course, show your appreciation and come up to me. Just ask me a question about alligators. Now, before I feed up the last piece of food during the show, the big kahuna we got here, people always ask me how you can tell the difference between a boy or a girl alligator. It's not like one of them has facial hair, okay? Alligators are actually bald. Now, whenever I say that, I picture them with a wig, so that always makes me laugh. Anyway, so the alligators don't really have a lot of features you can tell the difference between male and female. Even their genital region is all covered by scales underneath. So you can't even, if you were to flip it over, you still wouldn't even know. Now, so what I want you to know is the males are the ones that get much bigger. And so those are the ones that come from the wild. So people feed big wild gators because they're big and impressive, and that gator starts attacking people because these people have no common sense. They feed animals that can tear their arms off. And so who pays the price is the kids that go up to a wild alligator, because the kid looks like the person that fed them, but they're a lot shorter, so the gator's more inclined to come up to them. Now the gators are not going to chase after you like 30 miles an hour. It'll approach you with an open mouth, and then if the kid slips in the mud, it's going to go for their foot or something like that, and that's not good. So what happens is the trapper will get called, they'll grab the alligator, 9 times out of 10 they'll put the animal down. And that's not fair, but that's the state law. They only get compensated or paid if they put that animal down, but 1 times out of 10, one of those 10,000 gators a year will actually go to a park like this. We allow these alligators to live out their lives, and we take care of them so that way you folks still want to keep coming back and keep enjoying them. So check this out. I love that. I love that. Now, I want you to know that alligators also mostly just eat dead stuff too, because it's easier to chase a dead animal than it is a living one. And the alligator's stomach is very powerful, so they can actually digest very well, like disgusting old, like maggoty meat on a carcass in the wild. They will fight each other for that carcass instead of go chase after a wild animal, because their stomach is strong, they can get all the nutrients from it still. Alright folks, so that is the end of my show. Thank you for coming. If you haven't seen it yet, please come by the Alligator Handling Show, which will be right over there in the auditorium at 3 o'clock. And that is where I actually handle 2 large alligators and then I pass around their babies for you to hold and touch. It's very different from this show. This is like the side show, that is the main show. Thank you again all for coming. Have a great day.